In realms long forgotten, there are tales of the Forest Kingdom, a place of honour and chivalry, known to some as the land of the Purple Dragon, but known to all as Cormyr.
Hi, I'm Tilda, and I'm playing Hiram, a half-orc paladin.
Hi, my name's Carl, I'm playing Cassie Donahue, human bard.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm playing Badger, a forest gnome monk.
Hi, my name is Anton, and I play Balthazar, a warforged cloak of Azuth.
Eleanor is playing Slate, a changeling druid.
Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm playing Zombo, who is a halfling rogue/warlock.
And my name is Dan. I shall be the dungeon master on this adventure. Hello everyone.
Hello.
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 It's been a short while, so shall we jump straight in?
Yep.
The life of an adventurer is a tumultuous one, full of fame, reward and glory for those who have the will and power to strive for it. Sometimes the tales of adventurers begin in small, unassuming places, such as a national celebration for the end of a bloody war. One such tale began as such, and led the heroes of Warhounds Limited on a quest across Cormyr in pursuit of the enigmatic figure called Garabrail. Their journey would bring them to the very throne room of Cormyr, forever changing the nation of the Purple Dragon. However, not all stories end well. In the burning embers of Warhounds Limited, vengeance strikes. The Warhounds are dead. However, this story is not finished. Long live the Warhounds.
Read.
One week has passed since that fateful day. It's difficult to decipher where one day ended and became the next. There was a certain blur to the hours as the sun rose and fell in the aftermath of Garabrail's attack on Warhounds Limited. But if Aradel had anything to say about it, this was not the point to stop. And so life has continued. The Warhounds have begun to pick themselves up from the ashes and look towards new horizons and new pursuits of glory and infamy. The first port of call, as far as Aradel was concerned, is finding a new place to stay. It will take some considerable time and even more money, which, as Aradel would have you understand, is very light on the ground. But you will need somewhere new to stay, and that has been the order, the most important thing that, well, one of the most important things that have been keeping you busy over the last week. And we find the Warhounds on the road to Arabel, just under a mile south of the Arabellan walls, to inspect yet another property to see if it's a suitable replacement for the once prestigious guild hall. And as you walk up the road, and the walls of Arabelle begin to kind of rise into sight, Badger, you take a glance at the lush trees which kind of line the sides of the roads, surprisingly tall, and as you kind of have that feeling of that unknowing sense of anticipation, your mind casts itself back to a face of your mentor, Shana, in the treetops of Semberholm, as she turns to regard you and smile. And what does she see?
She sees a small figure, a gnome, with bright pink hair and a wide beaming smile, hefting a knapsack onto her back. Well, Shana, I'm off! You told me to go on a journey to help others and find myself, and this is it. Today's the day.
Your monastic mentor smiles as she kind of clasps her hands behind her back, and with a genuine warmth, she says, "It's good to see that you carry so much excitement, Badger. I think this will do you the world of good. It will be very handy to see the world outside of Semberholm. Do you have any idea where you might head first?"
Well, I've heard that Arabelle's quite nice. I thought I might seek out one of those adventurers' guilds.
There's a mixture of kind of concern and amusement across Shana's face. I should have expected that the prospects of an adventurers guild would draw you to it, Badger, but I'm sure Arabelle is a vibrant hub. I'm sure you will find something extremely suitable for you there.
I know. I just figured that what could be a more worthy pursuit if you're trying to help people than becoming an adventurer? After all, adventurers are the people that other people hire when they have big problems or things they can't sort out themselves.
Dana kind of laughs. Perhaps at that point you didn't realise it, but it was a laugh at your seeming naivety. A chuckle. And as she approaches and lays a hand just on your shoulder, she looks down to you and says, "Badger, the world is not worthy, but gift it with your happiness and joy nonetheless, and you will make it a better place."
Now, Chana, don't you go getting sentimental on me. I'll be back in no time, I promise.
And your memory of her face fades into embers and crackling and splintering wood as your vision goes dim and you find yourself in a smoky, burning building, watching the coronal guard of Mithranor drops to one knee, black coagulated blood spilling from the corners of his mouth, and a heart-wrenching scream to your right. As you approach the gates of Arabelle, one of the guards, "Hi!" shouts out to you as you approach. And sort of like you have to kind of duck out the way of the traders and merchants that are coming and going in their various carts. And as you hear the sounds of the wooden wheels trundling along on the dirt path, Catcher Donahue, the sound takes you back to a memory where the man with his back to you at the front of the carriage, bobbing along on this well-protected road to Arabelle, turns round and says, "Little lady, we'll be at the sound soon. Have you got an idea where you might go?" And as he turns to look at you over his shoulder, what does he see?
At the time, you would have seen sort of a girl of about 16. She's a little bit dishevelled, probably in sort of slightly, at the moment, mismatched clothes, and her hair's yet to be cut. Holding on to a lyre with a mastiff dog sitting sort of on the edge, kind of doing what dogs do, hanging out with his tongue lolling, but she's just sitting there clutching her instrument. She looks up to him, and she's like, no, to be honest, I just needed to get out to Cizale is all. I guess I'd hit the taverns and play for room and board, I suppose.
And he chuckles and, "When you expect that to pay for all of your outgoings? I mean, I don't know how good you are. I mean, it looks like a nice loot, but now if you need some money, then perhaps you need to set your sights higher." And as you trundle past, like as you start to enter into the gates of Arabelle, you could try one of them guilds, them adventuring guilds. No?
Well, what would I do for an adventuring guild? I mean, Catcher looks at him confused, just like, what?
Well, I mean, that's one of the adventuring guild's most best kept secrets, is that everyone loves a good sing-song after a hard day's work. They pay well for it. I hear there's actually a guild not far from here that are recruiting. Warhounds, I think they're called. Perhaps you should poke your nose in, see if they're after a lady like you. Have you got anyone to stay with?
Or maybe I'll. She's very effortlessly lied. She's like, of course, yes. I mean, I wouldn't be coming here if I didn't, right?
Well, he sort of like stops and he looks to you, and there's a look on his face that he's heard that lie countless times. He says, "Look, I appreciate that. I'm not going to intrude, but I know a face that's seen some bad things that you're trying to keep away from. And coming to a town like this can be scary, but it'd be good to find people who are there for you. Your real family, they're the ones you choose. The ones you want to be there for. The ones who want to be there for you. If you can find one of them in a town like this, I reckon you'll be alright. Anyway, here's your stop."
She kind of sort of looks off to the buildings as they're passing, and she's like, "Sure, I'll do that."
And as you sort of like start to prepare to jump out the carriage, he calls out, "Oh, Miss Donahue, it's on the house," he says. and he throws you back the bag of coins that you paid him.
She grabs the coins, looks at it, and she holds back that sort of like quivery sob. She's like, "Thank you." And she very quickly is like, "Come on, Drill, let's go."
And as you jump off the carriage and disappear merge into the crowds of Arabelle, the sounds and like the sounds and the clamour around you, memory seems to fade almost into screams and groans, and the crackling and splintering of burning wood. And you hear the sounds of shock and horror as Garabrael's head splits open like a ripe orange, and a brain-like creature pours itself from his head and looks around to you before attempting to skitter away. As you make your way through the streets of Arabelle, you see groups of mercenaries and adventurers from the wide plethora of other guilds within the town, and as you pass them, you can hear a lot of them kind of bragging and boasting to one another. And as you overhear one particularly boisterous mercenary recounting the tales of how he did that thing really impressively, Slate, you find yourself falling into a memory where you're stood in a street very similar to this, in front of an incredibly beautiful red-haired man with high cheekbones that could cut glass, and he flips a hand, and I mean, there's really nothing to it. It's, as long as you aim between the eyes, that's a surefire way to put down a troll. Then he turns to you and, I'm sorry, I go off on rambles. What was your name again? And what does he see?
17-year-old male, human, with quite tanned skin, quite dirty face as well, because the boy's been out in the woods most of the life, so wearing quite, not rags necessarily, but like quite unfancy robes made for kind of warm woodland travel.
Okay. And yeah, he like, before you get a chance to answer with your name, he kind of just carries on with his stories. Now, the one reason why you absolutely have to become an adventurer is that, and I don't tell this to everyone, but the ladies love it. You will find yourself with queues of the feminine assault, and not enough hours in the day, if you know what I mean. But if you are after another sort of carnal pleasure, the pay is good as well. In fact, if I myself weren't a freelance agent, I might consider signing up to one of these guilds. But
A guild?
Yes, the adventuring guilds. They're well, some people enjoy them, but I find them too stifling. There isn't enough glory, I find, in an adventuring guild. I mean, after all, how only by being a lone ranger could you find yourself with such beauties as these? And like, effectively from his wallet, he pulls out like a ink parchment drawing of this female Suzalan noble, and he shows it to you, and he sort of like flicks his hair back a bit and sort of like tucks it behind his ear, and oh, my memory fails me sometimes. I believe her name was Ameline, I think.
Wow, beautiful. I mean, she's beautiful. She's beautiful.
And
you've been everywhere. Like, I've never really left these woods, honestly, and it sounds like you've just been all over the place, and had so many great times adventuring guilds, you say?
Yes. There's one I've heard of. I think they're called the Hounds of War or something like that. They're in Arabelle. But no, you should not find the likes of Rufus in the Adventuring Guild. Perhaps you should go and tell them I sent you. Perhaps there'll be some sort of finder's fee.
And do you ever visit there ever? You know, just to say hello again, and just pop in,
He looks you up and down, sort of like raises an eyebrow, and no, I go where the adventure takes me, he says.
Wow.
Anyway, enough prattling chitter chatter. There are maidens, there are monsters to slay, and maidens to lay. Well, whatever your name was, he says. And as he turns and walks, he stops, and if you happen to see my sister, tell her I'm looking for her, yes? You'll know who she is. She's beautiful, like me.
Okay.
And with that, the red-haired adventurer strides off into the crowds. And as you kind of hear the merchants shouting and like shouting over one another, trying to hawk their wares and kind of catch the attention of passers-by, your memory of them shouting becomes entwined with the sound of burning wood and cracking masonry. And as you turn to look, you see a half-orc fall to his knees and let out a heart-rending scream. You stand at the doorway of an inn. The sign looks sturdy, very plain, and highlights this place as being called the Wild Goose Inn. And Hiram, you look down at the parchment of paper that was given to you, and this certainly seems to be the place. And the first thing that you notice is that the tavern is decidedly bland on the outside, and you know that it is just as bland on the inside, as you recall a memory of being in this very inn, sat at the bar alongside who you could consider your friend. And you look up and see Magnus as he finishes off his drink. And Magnus turns to you and, well, no, I'm telling you, the army paid all right, but mercenary work, that's where it's at. And as he turns to you saying, I mean, what have you got to lose? What does Magnus see?
He sees a young half-orc in his mid-20s, fairly tall, with short dark hair, and, well, he looks mostly tired. Yeah, he's not, while apart from his heritage and his height, he is somewhat unremarkable.
Okay. Magnus claps you on the back, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Your dad hates you. You've got no hopes in House Silversword. So, but you got muscles, you got brawn, so why not make use of them? I haven't been with them for long, but the Warhounds seem like a pretty good deal. Good bunch of people. You'll fit right in.
I don't know, Magnus. I do have a minute to think about. Would I have time to teach her all she needs to know if I'm running around getting into all kinds of trouble?
Magnus turns, looks to you, and you can see that there's a look of worry that kind of wrinkles across his forehead. And sort of as he leans forward to look past you, and then has to lean back to see past your greatsword to the little half-orc girl just sat on the floor, just idly chewing on one of her nails. And she looks up to Magnus, and you catch her going, "What?" Magnus says, well, they've got a halfling, and children and halflings are basically the same thing.
I'm not sure if you're right about that.
And Magnus well, look. If you're going to go anywhere, your best bet is to take her somewhere where she can be protected. If you're off out and about gallivanting, are you sure you'll be able to keep her safe?
You have a point there. And it's better than going home, that's for sure.
They've got
beds.
What?
Let's try it.
And he smiles, and I'm glad you've made the right choice, Hiram. But just remember, whatever happens, I'll have your back.
Thank you. And I'll have yours. But if this goes really badly, I will remember this was your idea.
And your memory of Magnus smiling from under his hood distorts into a bloodied Magnus looking horrified. And Hiram, you look down to the small half-orc girl cradled in your arms, and no matter how much you shake or shout to her, she doesn't open her eyes. And as the memory fades, you look up at the door, the four of you look up at the doorway of the Wild Goose Inn. And you hear a voice ring out from inside. It looks a lot better on the inside. And as you step in, you find Emily sat at one of the tables. Just sort of impatiently swinging her legs. "It's warmer too," she says. I don't understand why it took you so long. It's not like it's far and your legs are longer than mine. And Hiram, as you look at your squire, it dawns on you how much of a crazy week it's been. In the immediate aftermath of the attack, in the aftermath of the attack, news of Garabrail's attack on Warhounds Limited spread quite quickly, and it didn't take long for it to spread as far south as Suzail. Within days, House Silversword arrived by carriage. And in lieu of funeral rites and preparations, you remember the sorrowful look on your grandfather's face as he handed you a diamond. And Arvin Silversword saying to you, "We've already made the arrangements. Take her to the temple. The Archcleric of Tymora has already prepared the resurrection spell. She won't die if we can help it. She won't stay dead if we can help it. And after everything you've done for us, all of you, this is the smallest token of appreciation we could afford you."
Thank you.
And you remember the small gasp of air that entered into her lungs as the spell was finished. The look of confusion at her surroundings, the interior of the House of the Lady, arguably the birthplace of Tymora, goddess of luck. And as she gingerly sat up, holding her sore stomach, she turned to you and embraced you. "Why are you all just standing there looking sad?" she says. "This place is amazing," she says, waving her hand round to the very not amazing tavern that she finds herself in.
Well, let's put things honestly, Emily. What you find amazing and what we find amazing usually don't always meet on the same bar. And I still have a splitting headache. I've had one all goddamn week.
Emily rolls her eyes. "No, it's amazing because I had to pay to find out about it."
How much did you pay exactly? Just so we know.
Well, I mean, it was only 50 gold.
Okay.
Please at least tell me that some of those kegs are filled.
I don't think they are. Anyway, that's really good because he was asking for 100 gold. But he said that he would do it for 50 because he was about to skip town.
Right.
She shrugs. He told me that there were some special instructions that you had to do. Maybe you already knew them and that's why you were standing outside like lemons. And your squire kind of jumps off her seat, straightens out her little red and white tabard, tightens her pigtails. And yeah, you notice that she's also clutching a slip of paper that you can see some sort of like what look like drunken scrawlings on it.
No.
Yeah, she kind of gestures you, like walks between you, kind of elbowing you all out the way. And yeah, she leaves the Wild Goose Inn and then just kind of leaves and then turns around in the doorway, looking up at the doorway and the sign and whatnot.
Dimdan,
Yes.
I know I don't have a character in the scene, but so the four of them are in front or inside the Goose Inn. But is the inn like full of people? What is in the inn?
No, it is not. So the inn, you've noticed, is empty. Like, you've entered, you've had this conversation. The innkeeper behind the bar at the far end of the room has not looked up to acknowledge you once. He appears to be reading something. It's just like one elbow on the bar, just grumbling to himself. Like, you looking around, you see a price board. It's 7 gold a night, which you know makes it one of the most expensive places in Arabelle. But like the inn would be quiet if it wasn't for the sound of like the window shutters. And like the it sounds like the building's groaning under its own weight.
And this is like a modest establishment, right? It's not like
this is an awful establishment.
Oh,
like,
right.
You notice that none of the chairs seem to have equal sized legs. The tables are visibly sticky. Like, this place is horrific, and the gall of this establishment to charge 7 gold a night is beyond you. Like, it is disgusting.
I'll be honest. It's not much to look at, but I'll be fair. We played worse venues when I was back in the troop.
Sorry, go.
Do you think maybe the sign over there, someone put the wrong sign in the wrong pub? It happens all the time, you know. Especially after a wild night out, especially the wizard students, it always happens. So maybe we should get the sign out and put it wherever it's supposed to be. And I'll start going to pick up the sign with the prices on it and start taking it out.
Who is it?
Is it gone?
Yeah, sorry. Who's Slate as at the moment? Follow.
Yeah, I'd probably be definitely as Chiron at the moment.
Chiron.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So Chiron, as you approach the price sign, which you
hike up my robe a bit so I can like lift properly.
Sort of like the innkeeper finally, like, it's almost as if just one eye swivels to look at you. Like, the rest of the body is still engrossed in this book that he doesn't seem all that interested in. And as he kind of looks you up and down, this kind of weird rag-wearing, tattoo-covered old man just reaching for his price sign. The innkeeper says, "Don't touch that, and they're non-negotiable," he says.
I just noticed that the prices on here don't seem to tally up with. So I thought maybe one of those rascal students must have put it in here on one of their their nights out, and you probably got yours mixed up with someone else. And I didn't want you to get people coming in and thinking that that's what you were charging, and then it would be awkward as hell. And yeah, I don't know if you can see, but the prices. Quite high. I think it's the wrong one.
No. Updated them this morning.
As in as a like sort of update.
Actually brought them down in price.
What was it, because of the tables or the smell or the windows, or was it the lack of ale? The drab what was it?
The innkeeper lets out a huff, closes his book, and then just looks at you and just sucks his teeth at you. And doesn't say anything, he just looks at you. Like someone who's curiously watching a bug crawling across the room.
Chiron will smile, but like really aggressively.
Emily, as you bare all of your teeth, Emily once again shouts, and the instructions say that we have to be outside, she says.
Can I see those instructions, Emily, please?
Only if you come outside, she says.
Right. Okay. Well, good luck here. And I go outside.
As you walk outside, you notice Emily kind of like catches herself. Like, is it like she jolts as if she just remembered something, and then as you kind of walk out of the inn, she takes a few steps back, looks at you all, and there's the stereotypical deadpan look that you come to expect from Emily. Then she takes a deep breath and goes, and she struggles to grimace into a smile, and then looks at you on in turn and says, "How are you?"
That is much better than last time. I actually almost believed you. You know, a couple more days of practice and you're gonna be there.
And like as you say that, her face, like a rubber band, just snaps back to its nonchalant deadpan. And yeah, like as you take the slip out of her hands, you see scrawled across the top the name. Well, so yeah, it's a list of instructions. It's a bit difficult to read. The guy was either drunk, writing with the wrong hand, or both. But it says outside, so under inn's signboard, standing in doorway, invoke name of divine being, and then say, "I enter."
Okay.
And Emily looks up to you, and like seeing your confusion, she goes, "The example that he used was, by Timora's luck, I enter." And the four of you watch as she says the words. Like, you feel something shift in your inner beings, and the signboard above your head that says the Wild Goose begins to shift and morph and change shape, and what was a very plain profile picture of a goose turns into a like a ring, a greeny bluey ring that it morphs and details a bit more and becomes what appears to be a mottled green serpent eating its own tail. And as you see the letters of Wild Goose Inn begin to shift and change and meld into one another and split apart and reform. And as you watch this sign change before your very eyes, the Wild Goose Inn becomes the World Serpents Inn. And you look back to the doorway and notice that the doorway now is different. Looking behind you, Arabelle's behind you, but no one seems to have reacted to the fact that this tavern doorway has just transformed in front of your very eyes. And as you look around in confusion, like a blue smoke starts to waft out gently from the doorway. And Emily just kind of sighs and says, "It was more exciting the first time."
Slate, in excitement, goes, "I wonder what else it does," and then goes and stands underneath and goes, "By the guidance of Saloon, I enter." Thinking it's going to change into a brand new thing.
And as you, in anticipation, nothing happens. You hear Emily, she sighs and just, "It's in here," she says as she pads into the blue smoke.
Catcher walks up and plants a hand on Slate's shoulders like, "Don't worry, I had the same idea."
Has Emily changed at all since her resurrection, or has it just become even more nonchalant?
She seems to be trying to be more happy.
Aww.
Oh, I can only imagine it's like Terminator trying to smile.
Yeah. So, as you kind of pass through the wall of blue smoke, you find yourself in a dark passage full of this eerie blue smoke. And the passage is lined with a number of large wooden doors, various types of wood, various embellishment and decoration. And every time you sort of like you look at a door and then look away, when you look back, the door's gone, replaced with a different door. And as you kind of head further down, you can hear a commotion at the end of the corridor. And following the kind of silhouette, the smoky silhouette of Emily in front of you, you emerge into a large rectangular central chamber that looks like an ancient tavern. The plank floorboards under your foot are wood, are made of older wood. You see large, like impossibly large, hefty beams that run from sort of like wall to wall, holding the ceiling up over your head. There's at the far either side of this tavern, to the left and to the right, you see these large flagstone fireplaces that kind of dominate their space, with big roaring fires behind fire grills that look like the maws of creatures, like goblin-like creatures. Above you, you can see there's a balcony with more tables and chairs, accessible via spiral staircases up to them. You note, looking up, that this place has no windows, yet seems remarkably well lit. And there are like corridors and alleyways that seem to lead off at all sorts of points. And again, every time you take your eye away, the alleyway seems to have moved. In the middle of the large room is a ring-shaped bar that rises, you would assume, to the ceiling, and then it dawns on you that you can't actually see the ceiling for the blue smoke that hangs overhead. And behind the bar is this giant of a man, very well rounded, bright rosy cheeks, a long white beard, crazy kind of hair that sticks out in almost like plumes, wearing some sort of like delicate small orange tinted glasses on his large kind of nose, and sort of like as you take this all in, the bartender, the innkeeper behind the bar, looks to you, and with his booming voice he roars, "Ah, friends! Welcome! Come in! Come in! It's good to see you! It's good to see you!" he says as he waves you in. And as you kind of make your way into the tavern, you can see that the inhabitants of the whatever this place is, this World Serpent Inn, are just all sorts of bizarre races, some of which you've never seen before. You pass a table of 3 dwarf-like creatures with metallic kind of bronze skin and fire in place of hair. You wander past another table of with a large half-eaten chicken and one content-looking turtle man, woman, just eating away with a staff wrapped with berries propped up against the table. You can see all sorts of adventurers, like exotic adventurers, around the room. Some are planning and sort of like looking at maps and charts. You see arguing loudly on some stairs to your left, a couple of hobgoblins in bizarre exotic uniforms. Badger, with your higher perception, you can't help but notice, like, there is a very, very pale-skinned, dark, raven-haired woman waving this goblet around, seemingly a bit drunk, with her arm around this very unimpressed looking dwarf, who is topless, except for like a large bear's pelt across his head and then down his shoulders. And you can see her like whispering things into his ear, and he's just kind of stoically, like, he looks a bit dazed and confused with his tank as he sways slightly backwards and forwards. And yeah, as you kind of notice this, the bartender is suddenly in front of you, and welcome to the World Serpent Inn, friends. I'm so glad you could join us. Did you manage to find your way in okay?
Obviously, yes.
Marvelous, marvelous. This place could do with some fresh blood like you.
I'll just say that Chiron is very happy to be here right now.
Yeah, it's a remarkable establishment you have here.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, the World Serpent's Inn. It's relatively new. It's only been around a couple of thousand years by my reckoning.
Oh yeah, quite new, obviously.
Of course, yes. Anyway, my name is Michifer, and I'm so pleased to see you. I'm glad to meet your acquaintance. Please take a seat.
Sorry.
Is there any seats with footstools near any of the fireplaces? Because that is exactly where Chiron would want to go.
As you're looking around and you think that, you hear Michifer, who, like, up close, he's even more of a bear of a man. Like, and you just hear him click, 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 and he clicks. And you hear the scamper of smaller feet. And as you look, what can only be described as this veritable army of gnomes just kind of come charging over, grab some tables and chairs and move them over towards the fireplace. And yeah, like, as this is happening, like, you hear the gnomes effectively kind of going,
To me, to you, to me. Yep, this way. No, you're left.
as they just kind of relocate one of these tables closer to the fire. And you just kind of hear the from behind you.
So I'd turn around to Michifer with happy tears in my eyes, like, thank you, I'm home. And then I'll kind of pick up the bottom of my beard so I can run as fast as I can to sit down and put my feet up, take my shoes off, and just put my feet right up in front of the fireplace.
Elle,
And just go,
Elle, what does Karen look like?
Chiron's got extremely long beard. He's an old man with many tattoos, quite classic druid type. But yeah, a beard that runs down longer than his, down to the bottom of his feet, basically. Quite wrinkly, bit of a belly, and very big toes on normal sized feet.
Nice. Okay, in which case, as Michifer follows you over, and so as you kind of set up at your table, he sort of looks to you, like the look on his face. It's like it's the same face that you'd see on someone regarding like a long lost friend. And as he kind of looks to you in turn, he says, "Food is on the house, and leave when you're ready. Management is not responsible for loss of property or life in the back rooms. Trouble will not be tolerated. If you need to leave, simply ask one of the gnomes, and they will show you the door. And also, friend," he says, and he sort of like looks to you, Chiron. "We're all friends here. There's no need for such pretenses," he says, kind of waving at your visage.
But I was just getting comfortable. Well, and then Slate looks around. I guess it has been a while. And then turns. Slowly, beard kind of crawling back in. Just like patting it down, being like, oh. And then moving body parts like, oh, yeah, actually. You know, it does change a bit. And then finding a mirror, kind of just looking in face like,
So
definitely better.
What's looking back in the mirror?
It's a grey-skinned, very androgynous face with black eyes and sort of off-white hair. Very vain. So definitely the minute that there's near a mirror, it's kind of just catching looks and then kind of smiling at friends and then looking back to the mirror or looking at them through the mirror and then back at themselves.
So as you transform back into Slate, the rest of you notice that Michifer is grinning so broadly, you almost expect to see like a glint appear on one of his teeth and kind of fade away. Now, your squire here informed me that you're planning on hosting some interviews.
Yes, that's right.
Wonderful. Well, you'll be glad to know that there are a veritable number of adventurers who have responded to your call, and they are here in anticipation of this. From what I gather, the Warhounds have quite a reputable history. I have to say that not very many the exploits of adventuring guilds, very few of them make it to my ears. But to hear yours, it is certainly a spectacular story. Anyway, please make yourselves comfortable, and when you're ready, I'll send over the first interviewee.
Thank you.
You're welcome, he says.
Well,
God, if I didn't have a bad enough headache as it was already, it's just gonna make it worse.
Do you hear that though? We're famous.
yeah, and talking about famous, Katja, did you want to sing like at all?
I mean, there are people from places I've never seen before. Just think about how far we can get the word to spread.
My point exactly.
You know, I don't know where those men with the fire hair come from. You can only assume the elemental plane of fire, but you imagine them singing the Ballad of the Warhounds down where just everything is burning. Just imagine that concert.
Yeah, well, after the interviews, do you want to ask Michifer? Maybe you can sing a couple of songs? Can't hurt.
I'll give it
I
a
haven't
shot.
heard you sing for a while now, so it would be nice.
Yes, well, I'll go have a chat with him and see what he says.
I wonder
Actually-
what kind of
I wonder what kind of...
I wonder what kind of people we'll have today.
I'm sure just the best of the best.
Absolutely. This seems like a very exclusive place.
I think if Magnus were here, he would say that you definitely shouldn't hire anyone from this place. looking at the bugbears and the fire people and going,
Yep.
that won't do.
Badger nudges Slate and says, "So, do you want to be good cop or bad cop?"
I want to be chaotic evil cop.
That's quite strong.
Yes. Well, I think what we're doing here, we're trying to find people who are, not particularly bad at dealing with stressful situations. So,
I want to be a demon.
Oh, so we sort of flood them with surprise and shock and awe and then see how they react.
We should start, however, with some drinking so that we know that they're good to hang out with.
Or we could just talk to them in the beginning. Just an idea. Ask what experience they have.
That's a good idea. Hiram's got it right. The drinking is round 2 of interviews.
I'll start now just to make sure that we're all on the level.
Katya is sort of like, she hasn't sort of left yet, but you hear her sort of say, yeah, we get them drunk first. But as you look round, her mouth hadn't actually moved.
Okay, so after a few drinks to give yourself some Neverwinter courage, the interviews begin with Gusto.
So, Gusto, nice to meet you. Sorry.
Gusto!
You're done?
Yeah,
Is it possible to put the tokens for the players on the map?
yeah, can do.
Just be nice to see them.
So yes, the interviews begin, and they continue, and they keep going, and there's more interviewees, and by Time Mora's grace, there's a lot of interviewees. By the end of it, you are haggard, but there were 4 interviewees that really stood out as utterly useless.
Thank God.
And unfortunately, Badger wasn't around. Badger had to was having a little lie down during one of them.
Just on the bar.
Just
Just on my back.
We've got double Hiram, Dan.
Do we have, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you do.
I was about to say this is lating on Hiram's visage just to confuse people, but
So Julia, while Badger was unconscious, who was it that interviewed?
It was a rather short, rotund, older human woman with enormous, thick, curly hair and incredibly thick pebble glasses who just sat across going, And you saw that her whole outfit and the stick next to her and her hair and sprouting out from her collar everywhere, there's just fungus, mushrooms all over the place, and just a little cloud of boars just all around. She just sits there and occasionally takes one out and eats it.
right. So lovely to meet you. Maybe have your name?
Meredith?
Hello, Meredith.
Hello.
And
So-
Hiram is looking at Slate.
So, yeah. So, what would you bring to the table? I mean, not the table of food. I mean, like, you know, the party, not the fungi. I mean, sorry, someone
So
else.
why do you want to join the Warhounds?
Oh, thank you.
Mainly for something to do. Things have been a bit slow at home, and I've got all these mushrooms here. I might as well use them.
So, I'm sorry, you use the mushrooms? Are they a weapon?
No, dear child, no, don't be ridiculous. You can do whatever you like with mushrooms. You need to heal someone? Mushrooms. You need to kill someone? Mushrooms. You need to bring someone back from the dead? There's a mushroom for that. Mushrooms are brilliant.
And I'm assuming if you can't bring it back from the dead, you just grow mushrooms on them.
Yes, dead bodies are excellent fodder for mushrooms, yes.
Just writing down on like a piece of paper, mushrooms? Good? Question mark.
So, a
They
scenario
also
for
make
you.
excellent pets.
We're face to face with, say, a troll. How would you handle that situation? Like, Slate here's been battered across the battlefield. Hiram's been crushed into the earth. What would you do in this moment to save the day?
Well, first I would have a mushroom. Just to clear my head, you know. And then I don't know. I might get a bit silly, might reanimate a corpse with mushrooms, of course, and sort of use that as a distraction. And then this big one here, and she points at Hero and goes, lovely, he goes off and cuts the troll's head off. Save the day, Meredith.
Yeah. Do you remember in this scenario, I am unconscious?
Oh, that's a shame. Maybe I wake you up with mushrooms. You see? They're good for everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so with that little scenario,
there's a flashback of the group in a cave previously in the forest.
Yeah.
Where Magnus firebolts one of the spores in that cave and it like explodes. I imagine that passes through somebody's head.
Catchy starts quickly plucking the tune of the song she wrote about low-flying Magnus or something.
Yes.
The flying wizard.
Oh god, I haven't got the page open here.
The flying wizard. Okay, so you heartily inform Meredith that you'll call her, and next up was Carl. Tell us who was next up.
Imagine the guy sitting opposite you who's got like he's got sort of a tunic on, but he's cut the tunic trousers into like shorts. He's wearing sandals, and he's managed to stitch together this very sort of colourful shirt that he wears with his like long hair, and he just sits there with a bit of a sloop, and he's like just looking around, sort of almost like he's chewing on his tongue almost. He's just like gaping at the air.
Hello.
Hey, brah. Name's Gary.
Gary.
Yeah.
Can we call you Gare?
Dude, like, I'd be so down for that. Yeah, you can call me Gare Bear.
Gare Bear. Yes. Okay. He's good. Aline. So you're standing in front of a cave. To the left of you, burning fires. To the right of you, dead wasteland.
Yeah.
Inside, unknown, except for a few bones. What do you do?
Firstly, I have to ask, dudes, like, what day of the week is this? Like,
seriously?
Yeah, because, I've got, like, there's only certain days I can do, I got commitments and stuff like that, so, like, I can do, like, 1 day afternoons and, like, 2 day mornings, but, like, when you get to 3rd day and 4th day, dudes, I can't do those days at all.
Not at all?
Maybe 5th day, like, 5th day I'm kind of, usually a bit jazzed, so I usually can't do anything those days either.
Oh my.
Gotta practice hacky sack.
Yeah, dude, yeah, totally. And you, like, pretty much count me out to 10 days, so you pretty much got me 1 day afternoons and Tuesday mornings, but after that, bruh, I'm like, I'm like swamped. But
so you're like a part-timer?
Yeah.
Is it like a job share situation you're after?
Yeah, but if you like could pay me as if I'm there all the time, tax reasons, it'll be really helpful because my landlord's getting a bit he's a bit bumming me out, man. It's all about kicking me out, bro. And I ain't got nowhere to go. It's just me. I'm bored, I was thinking of heading down to Ammon and hitting the waves, but like with everything that's been going on, bro, it's just like it's getting difficult to travel, I was like gonna like paddleboard down the river, but I was like, I'm gonna need money.
Hiram, what do you make of Gary?
Hiram has been very quietly crying into his drink.
It's like the 45th person.
Dude, I know. Like, my landlord's a bastard, right? As you
talk about the landlord, Hiram, you look up and just see, like, from behind the bar, Michifer. Just shaking in indignant rage, slightly. Looking at you.
Yeah, you guys are cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. We will be in touch after we are done here.
Oh,
and
cool.
Yes.
So you'll probably find me on like the corner of like 2nd and Main. I got this nice little box at the moment while I'm waiting for my landlord to figure shit out.
Don't worry, we have means to find you.
Okay, cool.
We'll figure it out.
Come on, group hug. Come on.
So,
Let's do it, bros.
no.
Come on. No. Oh man.
I never
Yeah,
knew.
we can't show favoritism at an interview, unfortunately, and there are other people still waiting.
Dude, you're like so thoughtful. Like I didn't even think of that. God, what? Dude, Gary, get it together, bro.
Oh god. I
You
never knew
seem nice.
was such a hippie destination. It turns out all
out
around
it
the
really
farms,
Yeah.
all the hippies go there.
I looked up beforehand, and Bruce Greenwood had actually said there's an area of the Forgotten Realms that has surfing. So
Yay.
I was settled when I
Very
saw
good.
that.
Yeah.
right, so the next car crash, wagon crash, was unfortunately missed by Slate, who kind of got into one of those conversations that never end with Mitchafer. Whilst you were watching Slate desperately trying to bring the drinks back from the bar, Elle, run me through your interviewing.
God. So Slate comes over and sits down, says, hi.
Wait, what's happening?
Yeah, so I guess I'm here to interview for this role, as Magnus. And then I'll sit down.
Are you gonna change to look like Magnus? Yes.
No! Oh my god!
That's a great idea.
Jeez.
Okay. So Slate takes a seat on the other side of the table, like hands you your drinks, takes a seat on the other side of the table, and then transforms into Magnus.
Okay,
Hello all.
so thank you for joining us, Magnus. I have one question for you in this interview. You go into a cave, you see a black ooze. What do you do?
This is easy. Fireball, fireball, fireball.
I have a
Yeah.
follow-up question to everything right now. Okay, but why though?
Well, I felt, well, we don't have a Magnus, and, well, I'm a Magnus now, but it won't really work in the long run, but we have been tired today. There's been a lot of, it's been very long. I don't really like the interviewing, and I thought maybe I could do the interview, and that would be more fun that way, and well...
To your reasoning.
It is.
Magnus, we miss you. How is Suzale?
Oh, it's, full of silly people and busy things, but all the work is good, and yes, it's much better than sleeping on a tree.
Is Rager okay?
God, I wish real Magnus was here.
God,
Sure.
isn't it amazing, guys, how we can talk to Magnus? Because he's here.
I like.
Oh
this.
yeah.
Magnus,
Very.
I have an interview question. One of your companions sets fire to a tavern. How do you deal with the situation?
I
Well,
want to
it'd
hear
be quite
this one
simple.
too.
Well, I, as Magnus, as the real Magnus, would probably say, add more fire to the kindling. Or add more kindling to the fire.
Oh, you ruined it.
No. I have one more question. One of your friends is very enamored with your ex-boss. How do you help them?
Right. Yeah.
Try and, well, we're talking about helping the boss, of course, right?
Up to you. You
So
decide.
I guess we'd try and get them away from the colleague as quick as possible, and make sure that they're focused on work, and keep them on the straight and narrow.
That does sound like him.
Right.
Okay.
Well, lot of things to do today, so good to see you. Stay safe. Don't put any more fires on, Katya. That's probably not the big thing you can do. And
Now sounds
yes,
like
off
that
to
sounds like my Magnus.
I'm off to look after the Queen. Do try and stay out of trouble.
Safe travels.
Sorry, are you just gonna get up, walk around the table, and sit
Yeah.
back down?
I don't know about you guys, that last one.
And just stay as Magnus for like an hour.
And that, when I sit down again, I'll go like, huh. Well, I think maybe we should find someone else just in case. But they're up there.
Okay, so there was a point in the interviews where it is like you weren't sure if he was asleep or just like trying to become part of the table via his forehead. But there comes a point where Hiram just grunts and gets up and wanders off. And it's at this moment, Tilda, describe to the interviewers.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think the only way Hiram's going to wander off is when he notices that Emily is trying to get a drink again.
Okay, okay, so yeah, he chases after Emily, and this is when the fourth horror interviewee takes a seat.
So, similar to Meredith, you guess that this fourth person is very, very old. However, unlike unlike Meredith, very, very old. As in, you can't see their face because their hood is up, but you can see almost skeleton-like hands. There is more wrinkle on them than skin. And then they sit down and say, "Well, hello there, younglings."
Hello.
Hi?
Hello.
What's your name?
My name is Wendy Menard. You might have heard of me. I used to be an adventurer like you many, many years ago.
Oh.
How many years ago, Wendy?
Oh, I can't quite recall, but I do remember when the Spellbreak started. We were quite busy back then. Very exciting times.
Is that like 100 years ago?
The spell plague?
Yeah, that's well over 100.
Bloody hell.
My God. Wendy, I have a different question for you. What are you eating to stay so alive? Don't say mushrooms. Please don't say mushrooms.
No, it's not about what you're eating. It's about the knowledge. It's what you learn and what you will remember. It's all about the power that you find.
So what's your specialty, Wendy? What do you do? What would you bring to our party?
Oh, I could bring you all the arcane knowledge that you can ask for. I can bring you thunder. I can bring you fire. I can bring you anything that you would wish for.
Wow.
So you're a wizard?
Oh, I am much more than a wizard, young gnome.
What more
I
is there?
know things that you wouldn't even dream of.
Oh.
Can you do a magic for us? Any magic?
As you say this, she lifts her hood. And I was hoping you would ask this. And that's when you guys realize that she's a lich.
I knew it.
Oh, Wendy.
And she starts casting. You hear thunder, and you see clouds gathering above her. And witness me now as I call forth all the power you could wish for.
And Hiram, you watch as Michifel like jumps the bar and runs over, grabs Wendy's forearms, just kind of moves them back to her sides and goes, there, now, calm down. None of that, not again.
Oh, too much, Michifa.
I feel as if you might be slightly above our pay grade, Wendy. I think you'd be better off finding some kind of legendary League of Heroes or anti-heroes to join or something. Whatever floats your boat.
Youngling, every adventurer should need someone a bit more experienced.
I mean, there's a bit more experienced, and then there's you, Wendy.
Yeah, you kind of like you're all of us added together
and multiplied by
times.
10. Yes. Yeah.
In the nicest sense possible, Wendy, you seem wonderful, but I think you'd make it like kind of all about like you would go in and you would win the day, or you would be the one, and kind of, you know, we're starting out our journey. We've done some things, but you know, it's I want it to be about me.
I understand. You younglings, you need your chance to shine. Oh, you are so young, so fresh. I hope you go far in life. And she pinches the cheek of Badger and Katya. Well, good luck on your journey. Remember to eat well. Read every book you can.
About your soul to a phylactery?
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for not killing us.
And she blinks away.
Wow.
Okay.
I did not like that one.
She was incredible. I mean, too much for us, but wow.
Yeah. And I think Hugh comes back and like, what the heck was that?
Hopefully not our next enemy.
Wendy, you say? Wendy, the all-powerful lich?
Apparently, yes. I'm quite flattered that she thought to interview for us.
Right, okay. I'm done. I need more drinks.
So, yeah, the interview.
Just sort of sits there and is like, how do you know about Wendy the all-powerful lich? And I've never heard of her. She follows you to the bar.
With the interview process finished, most of you are at least half cut. Your headache didn't get any better, Katya. Badger, you are exhausted. You're at that level of exhausted that you kind of want to cry. You've not seen, like, Hiram's not taken his head out of his hands for some considerable time.
I imagine even drools on the floor with like his paw over his face, like,
oh.
And you've noticed that Slate is now just kind of cycling through various forms out of sheer kind of boredom, I guess. Like, just, and as you're all just kind of off in your own little worlds, you hear the stool on the other side of the table scrape across the floor.
The interview over, please come back another day.
And you look up to see Matthew.
Yeah. So you see a halfling, probably about 10 years into adulthood. So in his mid-30s maybe. He's got a long blue coat on. And a tricorn hat.
Ooh. Very good.
Under which pokes a long black ponytail. He looks like he might once have been quite handsome, but not anymore. His face is half covered by a black mask, and what you can see of it is heavily scarred and burnt, and there's a eye patch over one eye. And as he walks up to the table, there's a clunking, heavy thudding sound as he brings his one of his feet down.
Hi.
All right there.
What? Are you here to interview?
Yeah, I hear you lot are looking for work. I may have some for you.
Wait.
Oh,
Only rule is no mushrooms.
What?
Mushrooms?
Yeah, don't ask about it.
So what brings you here?
Well, I'm in need of a new crew, and you look like you might be capable. Been watching you from across the bar for a little while.
a crew, as in water.
Oh.
Yeah, like a ship's crew. Yeah, I had one up until recently, but well, anyway, I mean, found myself in need of some new companions, and yeah, you look like the most capable bunch in this sorry place.
There may have been a slight misapprehension here, Mr.
Well, I assume introductions aren't necessary. Surely you recognise me.
Indulge me.
Yeah, no, sorry, the mask kind of obscures things.
He kind of puffs himself up to his not very considerable height, and well, I'm Captain Marifat, of course. The Marifat, Zumbo.
Zumbo Marifat.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
You can call me Dread Captain if you prefer.
I don't.
Zumbo will do.
So, I think there's been a slight misapprehension, Captain Marifat. We're not a crew, you see. We're an adventuring guild, or at least we're part of one. So that's what you'd be joining.
Well, what experience have you got of on board boats? And can you handle yourselves in a scrap? I'm sure you could pick stuff up along the way.
The last time we were on a boat, we were put into a gladiatorial match.
Yeah, we did. We can fight on boats. We know how to fight on boats.
We do pretty well
haven't
on boats,
sailed.
yes.
We haven't. Yeah, we probably. I mean, I've never sailed a boat before, but I'm sure it's not that difficult. I mean, it's already floating.
Good.
What actually happened to your previous crew there, Captain Marifat? To want to join a venturing party? I mean, with that blue cloak, aren't you a member of the Blue Dragons?
Oh, yeah, I started out that way, of course, but I've been independent for a while now, and much preferring it, if truth be told. Actually, I had a nasty run-in with the Blue Dragons not so long ago. I saw them off, of course, but they caused a bit of damage to my boat, and I've been here laying low for a little while, and looking to pick up a more useful crew.
So you? Oh, sorry. You go ahead, Slate.
I think probably we're going to say exactly the same thing. So you're saying crew, but you'll do stuff with us that is maybe not on the seas.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, land is good. Yeah.
I'm going to lean over to
Crew, Adventuring
Badger.
Guild. I ain't bothered right now.
I'm going to lean over to Badger and be like, I kind of like his weird kind of, confidence. Are we being interviewed, or is?
I honestly have no idea.
Look, how about this? Right, I hang around with you for a while and doing your, adventuring guild stuff, and we consider that like your interview for my ship. And if you do well, then we'll consider it a permanent arrangement. You catch my drift?
So we're sort of
just 1 second.
Yeah.
Just team huddle.
Team huddle.
I mean, out of all of them, he looks like he might actually survive. An encounter. So
I admire his confidence for sure.
Are you sure? Because it looks like he didn't do very well out of his last one.
I was just
he's
about to say
alive.
that.
At least he's alive, I suppose.
I mean, it'd be worse if he was dead, for sure.
I mean, we did have a Lich just interview with us, so we have had a dead person already. And I think that Meredith person was actually just a, reanimated corpse, fully automated by mushrooms.
And at least he's not Gary.
Wrong, but... Oh god.
Yeah, and Gary was, dead of another kind.
Gary was the worst. I'm sorry, but yeah.
I think out of everyone we've seen today, maybe we should give Zumbo a try.
As you lot are talking about him, he's kind of, tapping his foot impatiently. Come on, let's get on with it. And there's this sort of watery sphere opens above his head in the air, and a small orange creature tumbles out of it in a shower of brine and lands on his head. And your huddle is broken up by him spluttering and cursing as he's drenched in water. And as you look round, he's like shaking his hat off, and there seems to be a small orange octopus clinging to it, and he just yeets it across the bar.
Guys, we have to hire him. We have to.
Badger runs over to the octopus and goes, "Hello!"
Oh god.
The octopus looks... So hang on, did you fling the octopus off the hat?
Yeah, I was just like, get off me. And
Okay,
fling
so
it,
yeah.
and it
So Badger, you watch as this octopus whee, like flies off into the distance, and then sort of like a few moments later, almost just like you watch it kind of fly out of sight, and as you because this cute little orange octopus has just been flung, you look down and it's there like on the table in front of you, and it looks up to you, and then just with two of its tentacles, it like lifts its two of its tentacles up to you, almost like a hug.
And Badger kind of does a little air hug back at it and says, "Hi, what's your name?"
Zumbo looks down at it dejectedly and he's like, "Yeah, I'm afraid she's part of the package as well. I can't do anything about her. Tried eating her once. She just came back."
Okay, we have pets in the group, so it's fine.
You like as you say that, the dwarf with a bear pelt, as she passes, you realize, yeah, no, she's just a vampire. Like she's 100% a vampire. Like you see, it's almost like he's trying to break away, whilst kind of keeping his head tilted to reveal as little neck as he can. But as he's got his head tilted when he comes past the table, you watch as this octopus just like turns and looks to the dwarf, and then with surprising speed launches from the table and onto the face of the dwarf, who just and then goes stiff as a board and just like keels over and just hits the ground like a statue.
Dumbo, is he dead?
I don't know. She's a mite protective. He'll be alright in a bit.
And then you hear her she comes off and then just kind of climbs off his face and just crawls across the floor, back up the table leg, gets back up onto the table in front of you and just kind of makes a noise.
He looks almost apologetic and he's just like, "Honestly, she'll be no trouble. We'll just sell her to the first people we come along, right?"
No, she won't. She's gorgeous. I'll look after her.
What is she? Just
Bloody
like
nuisance.
has never ever seen octopus, I don't think, ever before, and this is just like.
Well, I mean, other than
Is it a
bringing
bug?
a paralysis octopus to the table, what sort of skills do you have, Zumbo?
Well, I'm a fair hand with a blade, as you might have guessed. And he's got he is just covered in swords. He's got a rapier at his side. He's got a short sword at his other hip. He's got daggers tucked into his hat and into one of the boots he's wearing as well. I'm pretty a fair hand in a fight. As I said, I saw off a whole company of blue dragons not too long ago. It's been the terror of the Sea of Fallen Stars for quite some time now.
I say yes. I've never been on the sea. Can we keep him? Can we keep them both?
So Warhounds.
You hear Catcher say sort of, it's like, they've never had no Mumbo Zarafat, and it's down the docks plenty of times. But as you look around, again, her mouth didn't move.
Okay. Yeah. What do the Warhounds vote? We have 1 yay,
2 yay.
2 yay.
If only for the octopus.
Attentive yay.
I want to be done with the interviews. Yay.
Okay. So with a sterling 3.5 yays, the Warhounds have chosen to allow you in, Zumbo, and you become the newest member of Warhounds.
Wait, I know you.
You hear a voice shout out. And as you all look, Zumbo included, because someone just kind of cut into the victory pose.
I know those faces anywhere.
Says a male gnome in like a brown coat, lopsided brown hat, brown scarf, wearing a gauntlet full of kind of dials that twist twist and little levers that spring backwards and forwards. And it's sort of like he jangles as he kind of pads over to you, and this large kind of apparatus is kind of strapped to his back. There appears to be like a yellow tinted lens that kind of winds, like rotates 90 degrees backwards and forwards, and you know whirs and ticks are coming from somewhere on his person. And sort of like from behind him you hear, oh, you found them, Ferret. Oh, well done, well done. And then a female gnome with sort of like a pixie cut black hair kind of runs over in the same kind of brown coat, brown hat, also covered in all sorts of contraptions and gizmos.
Dan, these are the gnomes we saw in Suzail, right?
Yeah, and Katja remembers these two.
Ferret and Mixie.
You immediately recognize these gnomes as Ferret and Mixie, who helped you track down the Silver Swords.
Yeah,
some time ago. And Ferret, the male gnome, kind of strides up to you, adjusts his goggles, and
well, it's what a coincidence that we would find you here of all places. I would say it's good to see you, but we actually have urgent business for you.
What is it?
Well, he says, kind of waggling a finger and then pointing it at Katja.
I distinctly remember that due to our invaluable help not so long ago, that we were promised a favor in return.
I bet I did say that, didn't I?
And Mixie, the female gnome, kind of, yes, you did. And
I don't have to wear one of those bracelets, do I? Because they look garish.
Mixie kind of shakes her head.
Anyone non-gnome who wears them it's a high risk of danger to their life.
It would be tragic if any non-gnomes were wearing one of those gauntlets.
To our wizard.
Our human wizard.
The two gnomes look at each other.
Are you sure he's human?
Yes.
Pretty sure?
Very sure.
I mean, he's tall.
Mixie, make a note that we may need to do some asset retrieval.
Oh god.
Wow.
Make sure to bring the dustpan and brush. Yes.
Yeah.
And Mixie looks at you and, well, it's fortunate that you're here because we're actually looking to reclaim that favor that you owe us.
What's the favor?
And she, well, the two gnomes kind of look to you and,
well, if you follow us this way, we'll show you.
Where are we going?
This way. Come. Less questions, less talking, more walking.
Zumo, welcome to the world of the Warhounds. Things happen, and you just roll with the punches.
Zumbo, but yeah, thanks for your calm welcome.
As you say that, you notice that the female gnomes, like this, the female gnomes kind of look at you up and down, and she sort of like, she presses like she almost like squeezes her goggles, and like the lenses seem to kind of extend out like right up close to your face, and she appears to just be kind of looking at all the acid burns across your skin, and then she says as she kind of runs off. But yeah, the gnomes, like with insistence, they only kind of take a few steps before turning around and going, come on. They lead you through the World Serpent Inn, upstairs to a door, and you notice that unlike the other doors in the inn, this one has like a metal door frame that's got this almost kind of cog-like corrugation style to it. And as you approach, the gnomes do this impressively long and complex knock sequence. That sequence of knocks on the door. It lasts for a good 12 seconds. It almost sounds like a Latin jazzy kind of percussion ditty.
While it's happening, Slate's gonna dance and when they knock the last knock, still gonna dance and be like, oh.
And so at the sound of Slate going, oh.
Catcher starts plucking her lyre for you.
The door swings open, and the sound of metal work rings out in your ears as you are led into what looks like a giant comic workshop. There are ridiculously large cogs kind of rotating in the ceiling above you. There are all sorts of alien kind of contraptions hanging down that look like they defy the laws of physics and magic. And you notice that the gnomes that were serving, acting as a serving staff in the Dragons, in the World Serpent Inn, they're wearing the exact same clothes as these gnomes, except without the serving staff apron. And this workshop is just full of gnomes kind of running around. They all look a bit like Mixie and Ferret, kind of adjusting dials and pouring vials of liquid into one another and shaking them up and holding them at arm's reach, hoping that they don't explode. And in the center of this workshop, kind of dominating the room, is a large gold statue of a gnome that appears to be holding this glowing purple orb, and there are a number of other orbs that are orbiting this statue.
Wow.
And Mixie and Ferret turn to you, and as you take in the sights of this gigantic kind of workshop, but the boundaries of it make no sense for it to be a part of this tavern. They turn around and say, "Welcome to the League of Various Explorers keeping realities and futures together." And Mixie turns around and says, "Oh, Lovecraft."
Oh.
Oh dear.
Oh damn.
And as Mixie announces the name, you hear a heavy stomp, and then another, and then another. And from round a corner, you see this large... your immediate reaction is you see a construct very similar to the one that attacked you in Suzail, the Juggernaut. But a split second passes, and then you realise this one is wearing Cormyrian colours. And Anton?
Yes?
What does the construct say? Or do?
I think the construct will just look at the group, turn their head around, and then look at Ferret and Mixie and see what they have to say.
Ferret, Mixie is kind of looking at you and smiling, and Ferret is looking at the Warhounds. So, the favour we have to ask of you is that we have just completed Project Balthazar. And...
Hey, wait, that's my name.
Yes, that's why we named the project Balthazar.
Oh, okay. All right.
You have to be careful with him. He's quite slow. But that's the favor. He's only recently come to life, and we very much would
That's not true, I think. Oh, yeah, carry on.
The gnomes look at each other and...
He's not been alive for long. And our favor is that you take him out and field test him.
Oh.
On an indefinite basis.
Hey, you didn't say that.
So,
And the figurine...
babysit.
The figurine speaks, or Balthazar speaks, but there's no movement in like his face. The helmet, blocks whatever movement there may be.
Yeah, you just like this.
He turns around.
This thing towers over the gnomes. It towers over you, Hiram. And like, yeah, you can just see these kind of almost like slight movements of the helmet as it just looks from the gnomes to you, and like the two glowing blue eyes just consider you.
Oh. So, oh.
Now, I understand that you actually had a vacancy. So, given that, and he looks at you, oh yes, the wizard that's about to explode. Given you haven't got your wizard anymore, you should take Project Balthazar with you instead.
Ooh. What? Ooh.
So what can he do? They do?
Well,
Well, what can he? And you see, like, Ferret's head just kind of keeps on glancing to Mixie.
what can he do? Mixie?
And Mixie just kind of,
I know how to cook, I think, and well, I can read, and I think I can write. Yeah.
Okay.
I used to be an archivist. Yeah.
Okay.
Says
You used to be
Mixie.
an archivist?
Yeah, I want to sort of come back to that. He used to be an archivist?
Well, I know I still am an archivist.
It's been a rough birth.
My yeah.
Right. Balthazar? And
Yeah?
because we are an adventuring group, we actually tend to get into scuffles of sorts. Do you have any way of looking after yourself? Like, do you have any combat experience at all?
Oh, yeah, sure. Like this one time, bandits of goblins came to my village, and I slew them right there and then. Waved my hands in the air, and that was it. Gone.
With your hands in the air.
Yeah, right. With my sword as well.
Uh-huh.
The gnomes are just nodding emphatically at you.
Okay. So just to be clear here, there is no wrong answer. If you have no experience, that's also fine. We just need to know because we are going to be responsible for you.
Okay. Sure. I can take care of myself.
Victor, it's a match made in Celestia.
You hear Katja,
Eh.
the Warhounds hear Katja say out loud, "We're all dead." But again, as you look at her, her lips have not moved, and she's just looking at Balthazar like,
Yeah, you notice that the gnomes have
something?
not. The gnomes haven't
No.
responded. And Mixie,
Thank you so much for volunteering to test Project Balthazar for us.
Yes, well, we'll try and give you a good home, Balthazar, right? We should do that. They're probably not
I mean,
the best.
we are jumping a bit ahead here. Balthazar, do you actually want to come with us?
Of course he does. Don't you, Balthazar?
Balthazar will turn to Mixie and Ferret, and then turn back to the group, and then you said I should go, right?
the two gnomes just sort of like.
Yeah. I guess I need to go.
And then they look. The two gnomes look back to you and grin emphatically again.
So,
Balthazar's expression is unreadable.
Catcher leans down to Mixie and Ferret, and she's like, "This means we are square. Utterly
absolutely.
Square. There's nothing. We'd never expect to see you again. Correct?"
Well, I can't guarantee that, but certainly when an appropriate amount of testing has been performed, and we are satisfied with the performance of Project Balthazar, then we may or may not take him off your hands.
Wait, can you stop calling me Project Balthazar? Can you just call me Balthazar?
But it's so much more. It's so much more appropriate than.
Catcher leads across and puts a hand on one of their shoulders. It's like, listen, okay, fine. We're going to take Balthazar with us, but there's also one favor you're actually going to do for us now.
But would that not mean that you owe us another favor?
No, not at all. Because this is a favor this is something that you've caused. If you don't get that thing off of Magnus's wrist before it turns into ash or kills him, I'm going to come back and I'm going to turn you into lyre strings. Do you understand?
I see.
Who's Magnus?
A friend of ours.
Oh.
And under her breath, you hear Mixie say, "Not for long."
Catcher just pinches the shoulder slightly of Ferret, and she's like, "So you're going to save Magnus, right? Because we like Magnus."
Do you know where he is?
Zazale.
With the queen.
Former queen.
Yes.
I see.
Are we supposed to be saying that to people?
I think it's pretty obvious now the queen is no longer in charge.
No, it's more, do we want people knowing that Magnus went to help her?
But if it's to stop Magnus from exploding, yes, maybe we do want to know.
Okay. He sort of he Ferret looks up to you, Katya, and he kind of pats the back of your hand with his, and he kind of slowly wriggles out of your grip, and then he kind of straightens his coat out, readjusts his goggles. On behalf... Sorry, hang on. On behalf of the League of Various Explorers keeping realities and futures together, we will do our utmost to ensure that your one-time accomplice does not meet an interplanar explosive end.
All we can ask of anyone, isn't it?
Thank you. Yes.
Maybe next time before you start, putting on projects, maybe you could consider whether or not you're ready to look after your projects. It's
But how would we know if we're ready unless we just go ahead and do it?
Well, maybe just, consider, could I look after this project? Do I have enough money to raise this project?
A Balthazar is for life, not just for Christmas.
Possibly. If Balthazar were to suffer some sort of catastrophic failure...
Wait, what?
Just... I would advise maintaining a considerable distance from him, and let us know so we can retrieve what we can and make a new one. Because as we all know, failure is simply an opportunity for improvement.
Okay, I think we are leaving.
My mentor always used to say, first attempt in learning.
Precisely, but with explosions. Okay. Take good care of him, and we'll see you soon. And
Bye.
As you kind of turn to leave the workshop, you overhear him turn to Mixie leans in and goes,
Ferret, where is Suzale?
Oh, jeez.
Did we meet them there? Oh god. Oh, dear.
Oh boy.
So,
Balthazar will awkwardly shuffle towards the group and sort of sidle along.
Yeah. Zumbo's gonna swagger up to Balthazar. He's been pretty disinterested in the conversation, and he's just gonna wrap his knuckles on probably the highest point he can reach, which I'm guessing is like the abdomen. And just like, you don't sound very buoyant. Oi, big guy, can you swim?
I mean, I think I can swim. Maybe. Why?
Well,
why are we swimming?
Can you float anyway?
I don't know. Why are we swimming?
Don't worry about it. It comes up more than you think.
Zumbo,
Okay.
up close, Zumbo, you notice as you're rapping on the metal, you notice, like you get a good look at him. The core of Balthazar seems to be primarily made from wood, and then there are a number of like metal plates that are then attached to the wood like armor. So as you're looking at him, apart from the metal plates, I mean, he's made of wood, so he'll probably float. He'll probably rot, but at least he'll float. But yeah, he's about 3 times your size, I reckon.
Yeah,
So
I put Balthazar at 6'4", maybe.
Wow.
Oh, is he only 6'4"?
Jeez.
Okay.
Maybe a bit. It can go 6'6".
Probably like twice Zumbo's height then.
Yeah, twice
Yeah.
under time.
Well,
So,
yeah.
as you're led out of the warehouse, the workshop, and sort of like as you take one last look, you just see Ferret and Mixie like waving at you from the middle of the workshop underneath this giant gold statue of this orb holding gnome.
Balthazar will wave.
And sort of like as you're ushered out by other gnome workers, like you step out back into the World Serpent Inn, and the door slams behind you.
Oh.
And
Okay.
yeah, Balthazar, for the first time ever, you find yourself in this strange tavern, like up on the back, like looking on the second floor, looking down at this large kind of drinking hall.
Oh. That's quite strange. Oh, what are they? Oh dear.
I'll stand next to Balthazar and just do a big old sniff in and say, "Come on, Balthazar, do this."
Balthazar will try. And,
Smell that, Balthazar.
You watch as this thing just wobbles.
I don't think that my nose is blocked.
Well, that's the smell of adventure. Come on, we're gonna have a lot of fun and.
Oh, the smell of adventure? That sounds pretty good.
So as you guys are stood on the balcony, kind of looking down, and as you kind of say to Balthazar, "Come on, let's go." You go to turn to head towards the stairs, and from down below in the drinking area, you hear, "Well, well, well."
Oh,
No.
God.
Oh no!
No.
And as you look down, you see 4 familiar faces of members of War Dogs. A fur and hide wearing Goliath woman with a large boulder maul over her shoulder. A mean looking arm crossed halfling with a short pointy black hair and a goatee, and kind of ramshackle metal armor scattered across him. This mysterious shadowy robed creature just kind of hovering slightly behind the Goliath, and then there is the strum and the hair flick of the half-drow Midnight Raven. And as you look down, you realise that the War Dogs are missing one of their number. Their cleric Opum. She does not appear to be with them. When from you see a door open, and as it opens, you can just make out that it's a loo. And then from the loo, from the corridor that leads to the loos, you see a heavily armored dwarf woman, like with a large shield on her back, kind of wander over. And then this this little scrawny-looking kobold that just, as he wanders out, seems to be followed by a stream, a positive stream of rats. And this kobold just kind of joins the other war dogs and sort of like looks around, looks at them, and then, "What are we looking at?" he says as he looks up and kind of moves his sun goggles up and down. And as you come face to face with the war dogs and their new recruits, we'll grab a 10-minute break.
Right.
Woo!
Welcome back, everyone. So, yeah, we find the Warhounds in the World Serpent Inn on the second balcony, on the upstairs balcony, looking down at the assembled ranks of War Dogs Inc., complete with 2 new recruits, it would seem. Badger, as you kind of wave to the halfling brawler, Bodger, he sneers at you. Malka, the Goliath barbarian, kind of tilts her head towards you, Hiram. The shadowy form lurking behind Malka sees you, Slate, and it seemingly kind of shies away, just in case you turn into some sort of monstrous creature again. You, Catcher, you feel like your veins in your head start to engorge as you watch this kind of half-drow bard just a single note on his harp, and then beautiful. You hear he whispers as he flicks his hair out of his eyes, and it immediately falls back over half his face.
We need to kneecap him again.
You see there's a heavy set dwarf woman with her brown hair kind of pulled tightly in a bun on the back of her head. She appears to be wearing heavy armor, has like a large kite shield, not kite shield, heater shield, like one of those with the pointed tops, and is leaning on a broad-based hammer that appears to be glowing with kind of etched runes across it. She seems to be kind of scanning the room as if determinedly alert for danger, and it seems that once she's kind of happy with the state of the room, she turns her eyes up to you lot, and sort of like fixes her gaze, like her eyes rest on Balthazar, the kind of large construct in your midst.
Balthazar avoids eye contact.
Okay. And yeah, the voice that has kind of rung out amongst the war dogs is this kind of scarlet-hued lizard-like creature, like a little kobold that's kind of ambling around their feet, kind of pacing backwards and forwards. And like if you peer closely, just from sort of like his sleeves and from the inside of his coat and kind of going up his trouser legs, you just see this almost like an unending stream of rats that just kind of crawling in and around him, and he seems completely kind of oblivious to it all, and yeah, he's just kind of cried out, "Hey!" he shouts, it's got looking up at you.
Badger's gonna call down, "We're the Warhounds! We're your friends and rivals!" And sort of waves frantically.
And as you say that, the halfling sort of tuts him. Like us, you are.
How are you guys feeling after the last time we kicked your asses?
Yeah, well, we were just getting warmed up, weren't we? Says the halfling.
It looked
Not
like you were
fast
cooling
enough.
down.
I'll nudge Zumbo and kind of just say, remember we said we were really good fighters? So this was who we fought.
Yeah, it don't look like much.
Yeah, okay, we are good fighters. I promise you we are really good fighters. It's just... This was an example of ship fighting I had at the time, but we're really good ship fighters, I promise. Just because they're not that difficult looking doesn't mean...
That scaly one looks like rats eating him.
Yeah, is that okay?
He don't look okay, does he?
No, I mean, is this okay for the establishment? I mean, I think...
Like, as you
don't want anyone to
watch,
close it down.
as you're discussing this, you watch as the kobold kind of stood amongst the war dogs, just looking around, and then just lazily kind of like picks his snout, and then like a real honker of a bogey comes out on his nail, on his claw, and he marvels at it for a moment, and then like tilts his finger over his shoulder, and then a rat appears over his shoulder and Malka, the Goliath, calls up. It's been some time since we've met, but are we going to have this reunion purely with such distance between us?
You're
Be
right,
wise, because
Malka. How about some drinks?
I was about to say, Hiram, it's probably wise, because otherwise we'd break the nose of their bard again.
Katya, remember, let's be friendly.
Only so much friendly I can do.
Okay, be friendly to someone else apart from him.
So as you descend down from the balcony into the main drinking area, Catty, you watch as Drool, your mastiff, kind of shoots past your leg and heads over to the blink dog that's kind of at Midnight Raven's side. Drool kind of initially does a little growl, and the blink dog slobber responds in kind, and then before you get to a chance to say anything, the two of them start doing what dogs do and just sniffing each other in a circle, and you're just like, yeah. And Midnight Raven sort of like plucks a couple of notes on his harp, and two separate souls, separated by circumstance, reunited by faith, and their pets, he says as he looks to you, Katya.
I can forgive Drool, because Drool has the brain cells of a dog. What's your excuse?
My excuse for seeing the beauty inherently present in the world. It is the curse of the artist.
Okay,
Malka, may I have some fruit juice, please? And as he says that out, the shadowy figure who sort of like stands opposite you, Slate, and just stares at you impassively, overhearing that, kind of turns quickly and, yes, I would have some juice as well.
And
please.
On hearing that, I'll be like, well, if he's having some, I want some too.
Juice actually sounds really good. I'd like juice.
Could my juice have some, like, remember that oyster vodka thing we had. I want some of that. I've really got a taste for it now.
Clamato juice, please.
Clamato.
Yeah, also, I do even point out you don't want to have it anywhere but in Suzelle. It needs to be fresh.
That's a really
from
good
the
point. We're
harbour,
inland.
So,
Plain tomato, please.
yeah, Malka kind of joins you at the bar here, and she says to you, "It has been some time, but it would appear that the Warhounds have been busy."
You don't have to be diplomatic about it. It has been difficult times.
I heard about what happened after Suzelle. It sounds awful. You have my condolences, Master Silversword.
Thank you, but luckily enough, there is no reason for condolences. Everyone is back on their feet. Well, most of us are back on our feet. We are trying to build everything back up.
The Goliath kind of nods to you, and it is a good time to be back on your feet. It would seem that the climate of Cormyr has changed quite significantly since we last spoke. Whilst some may be concerned, it is proving to be rife with job work opportunities. So much so that we have been able to afford 2 new recruits to our guild. It seems that that you have found yourselves in a similar boat. But I do not see Magnus. Where is Master Cobbleson?
Oh, he had other opportunities to take up.
I see. It sounds similar to... You may notice that our cleric, Opum, is not among our number. With the state of Cormyr being what it is, she decided to take her teachings to the masses, so that she might instill hope and peace among the population.
Oh my god.
That's quite noble of her.
Self-help speaker.
He was... as sort of like as Malka gestures out to the other war dogs, the dwarf woman walks up to you, Balthazar, and just kind of looks you up and down, and very similar to Zumbo, just kind of gives you a dong dong dong, like a rap of a knuckle on your chest plate.
Hey, what's that about?
And the dwarf takes a sudden step back, and I wasn't expecting you to talk, she says.
Well, what did you expect?
She looks you up and down. I was wondering why they were bringing marionettes in here.
Hey, that's not very nice. What's your name?
She kind of puffs her chest out. Mirren Bitterstone.
All right.
And what's your name, mannequin?
Hey, I'm not a mannequin. My name's Balthazar.
Funny name for a mannequin.
Well, suit yourself. You come here often?
And she looks around and... No. Just kind of shakes her head nonchalantly. And... Yeah, the kobold approaches you, Zumbo. And, Hey, you.
What do you want?
From what I'm gathering, you're the boss of this little gang.
You got a good eye there, friend. good eye for leadership potential.
We're kindred spirits, you and I. Recently came into ownership of this bag of vagabonds. But I think, yeah, we've got our work cut out for us, haven't we? Whipping these lot into shape.
Yeah, they're green, but they've got some spunk.
The kobold nods and
Don't mind the rats, they're perfectly friendly.
Yeah. Betty as the octopus has appeared on my shoulder again, and she's just like, with her two foremost tentacles, she's just kind of whacking any rat that gets too close to Zombo. Just trying to bat them away.
and like the little kobold holds out a scaly hand in a handshake.
Name's Mungo.
Sorry, Mongo. Sorry.
Name's Mongo.
Zombo will like look at it doubtfully and like pulling his sleeve over his hand, just like.
Don't worry, it's only rat shit. Don't worry.
Zombo Marifat. A pleasure, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. You and I reckon the tales between us two and these lot can go down in history.
Let's get a drink, my plague-ridden young friend.
And he sort of like grins at you, and there's just this row of small sharp fangs that are in various degrees of rot. And yeah, you grab a table. Mitrofa starts bringing over drinks, and yeah, like the conversation starts running between you. Bodra turns to you, Badger, and says,
I'll say, I'm not 100% appreciative of what you did in Suzale.
What do you mean when I hammered your face into the floor?
No, I don't think that actually happened. No, I mean, when you dethroned Raedra.
Oh, right.
That was, she was an alright bird.
I don't. I mean, yes, she was lovely and strong and she had many good qualities, but it was a difficult decision.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I mean, what? They say that the elves from, Semberholm were going to kick off.
Yes.
Bunch of pantsy elves. I mean, no offence, I know you're from Semberholm, so you're basically like an elf, but Cormyr could have had them.
That was what I was afraid of, so I thought, to keep as many innocent people alive as possible, I would try my best to help avert war.
Yeah, no, I'm not following.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't expect anything else from a rough boy like you. And she sort of tousles his hair.
And he sort of like does almost like a 14-year-old, like, get off. But yeah, so Tabula kind of regards you all, and sort of like the voice that emanates from his dark hood says,
with the previous chapter of your life behind you, what lies ahead for the Warhounds?
Well, I think mainly right now we're trying to just build ourselves back up after all that drama. Apparently we might be going on the sea. We've got new friends who I think they think we're a crew, so that'll be fun. And kind of looking to maybe not get so involved in the politics side of things. It's definitely put me off the monarchy and nobility quite a bit, but... Well, definitely loads of adventures, for sure. But what about you? What?
Malka interjects and says, with everything that is happening, I think it would be difficult to, as you say, avoid the politics. I'm not sure how closely you've been keeping an eye on Cormyr as a whole, but the Radran separatists are causing quite a lot of trouble. As far as I'm concerned, quite rightfully so. The process in which King Oberskir took the throne seems a bit unusual.
You know, I think this all could have been fixed if we'd just chosen a new, more beautiful, ruthless but wise leader.
No, it would have all been fixed if we had a fairer system, a democratic system. The monarchy and the rulers. That's where it always goes from.
The Bula nods and... Yes, we should have elected the Shadow Collective to rule over Cormyr in fairness.
Yeah, no, I was thinking more like locally elected officials. I mean, so like almost like a, you know, with the little people. Never mind.
I think the Shadow Colony sounds like a good idea. Tell me more.
Tabula goes off on this extremely long ramble of basically how darkness is in fact a living entity that should be allowed to control the lives of living beings. And there are a number of points in his description that just kind of make you go, and like your brain starts to hurt as you kind of doing the mental gymnastics to keep up with him. But Tabula just seems completely on board with this idea. And yeah, sort of like at the end of the table, Midnight Raven starts plucking some notes on his lute, and then he stops and Lady Donahue.
Midnight.
I can only assume that a songstress as skilled and deft as yourself has created audible wonders since last we met.
I'm sure you've heard a little ditty that's going around called the Ballad of the Warhounds. I hear the A Silver Sword in the Moonlight got a lot of attention after it was played in the royal courts. How's your songs going on? I haven't heard anything by you yet, Midnight.
I have heard that the Zaga of the War Dogs has also been doing really well among royal circles. It is told, I've heard on the winds that the supporters of the ex-Queen Raedra sing the hymn dedicated to the gods, written by yours truly, long into the night.
I'm sure you're going to play us some, aren't you? Right now, we could do with a good song.
Alas, it is a song reserved only for the ears of deities.
You hit again. Only the Warhounds here catch you go, God, I really want to punch him in the mouth. But if anyone's looking at her, again, her mouth did not move.
I'll turn around and just go, Tachi, you can't do that. That's we're drinking right now.
Do what? I just want him to play a song. It's not that difficult to play a song, Midnight.
You're being very rude, Katya.
Yeah. Drink first, then we punch him. Be more fun when we're drunk.
Exactly.
Very quietly, Kieran is going to lean down to Emily and just and whisper to her, "Can you go and kick the bard in the shin?" Their bard, not our bard.
Okay,
Wow.
and as you see, like Midnight Raven's at the end of the table, like pinching his top lip in contemplation, and he just, like, you see his eyebrows wiggling as he's kind of experiencing the emotional beauty of whatever is going through his head, and then you hear, "Oh shit! Ah! It's broken! Ah!" And like from your side, you just see Emily crawl back out with a smirk on her face, and you know, Midnight Raven falls from his bench, from his stool onto the floor, and just kind of writhes backwards and forwards. Ah! Mirren notices that none of the other war dogs are responding. He just shrugs and keeps on drinking. Malka looks to you all, and it is good that it is good to have caught up, but we're actually on our way to some more work, she says. This place is full of peculiar and interesting folk. One of them tells us of strange creatures that appear to be attempting to conceal their presence, and mentions of more and more dragons flying the skies than before. We're hoping that we catch more of the former and not the latter. Whilst I'm confident of our abilities, she says, and looks kind of left and right at the gathered war dogs. Perhaps dragons are something that we need to wait for until later. Maybe when there are more of us.
Oh, we could probably take a dragon on, like that.
You think?
Just play along. Play along.
Oh, we've killed many dragons.
Oh, so many dragons. Oh. Just like a boneyard back there.
Like, as you say that, you can see that Bodra is sort of like he's drinking his drink, and as you say, "Oh, we've killed many dragons," like he chokes into his flagon a little bit, and then like he looks up at you all, and like his eyes say, "I don't want to believe you, but I'm gonna pretend I don't believe you." As he tries to kind of maintain this like big boy swagger. Yeah, Malka says, if you ask around, I'm sure there are many people in this place looking for adventurers like yourself. It might do you well to speak to a few of the patrons, so they might guide you in particular directions, and they pay well.
Thank you, Malcolm.
She nods. And they kind of go to, like, Malka finishes her drink and kind of stands to leave. And sort of like the war dogs start to rise. You notice that Mongo, the kobold, just sort of has to chug what seems to be half a flagon of ale. And yeah, she sort of like nods to you and well, Warhounds Limited, unless there's anything else you wish to speak to us about. And she looks at you expectantly. May we see you on the roads or the mountains, she says. And like the other war dogs nod, except for Mongo, who just looks and thinks, he pulls a face, like, who says that? And yeah, the war dogs head away from your table. As you're kind of left on your own, Mitrofa then heads over and sort of like stands in front of your table, looks at you all slowly, and hello! He shouts.
Little quieter, Mitrofa, please.
And he's, oh, my apologies. Hello!
All right, fine. Just
Much better.
you
So-
do you.
Miss Emily here informs me that you are looking for a suite of rooms.
We are? Ooh.
Temporary accommodation. Well,
While the
We
guild
are-
gets rebuilt.
we are more than happy to accommodate you. There will be some payment, but that can be arranged at a later point. If you are ready, we will. I can guide you to your rooms.
Okay.
That would
Thank
be very
you,
kind.
Mitrofa.
Thank you.
Let's go.
He sort of like smiles and sort of like gestures to the gnomes and a number of gnomes, and you can see that they are basically Lovecraft gnomes. Like they're wearing the brown coats and trousers and whatnot, but they've just got serving aprons over the top of them. So it's very clear that the gnomes are either in their workshop or on the bar floor, like the tavern floor, as serving staff. But yeah, these gnomes, this way, please follow me, and they kind of lead you down one of the corridors, and the place, like the corridors just kind of loop and connect and branch, and you find yourselves utterly lost as you follow these little gnomes before they arrive at this kind of room, a circular room with rustic wall paneling and semicircular doors, 6 of them in like fanning out throughout this circular kind of chamber. And the gnomes gesture and please pick one each, don't share, otherwise things get really messy.
What?
Shut
What?
Does that also does Droll get his own room, or is Droll in with? I don't. If we can't share.
And the gnome looks down at the dog and sort of looks at one of the other gnomes and
You didn't check to see that they had pets?
he says, oh,
And he, close your eyes, please,
says the gnome.
all of you, no peeking.
Before you start, I would also like to share with my squire. It is quite alright.
He says, right.
Everyone, close your eyes, turn around.
Alright.
And as you close your eyes, you turn around, and then when you turn back, you notice that there are now 8 doors on the walls of this circular room. There is a small dog-sized door alongside one of them, and Hiram, you notice that one of the doors is almost kind of like L-shaped, where it's like a large door that you could get through, and then a smaller door that Emily would fit through. But they're just kind of like one. So,
Aww, that's so cute.
and yeah, the gnome gestures and
Why, Philip, please use room, no sharing, otherwise it gets very messy.
What
I'm not cleaning it up again.
What about the octopus?
Zumbo will just pluck that off his shoulder and go, don't worry about it. Here, give this to the chef. And he chucks it at one of the gnomes.
this gnome
Oh,
as he catches this octopus and like looks at it curiously.
thank you.
No,
Um,
no,
The
no,
little octopus
no.
squeaks.
Badger just runs up and says, "No, give it to me, give it to me."
Okay, so yeah, the orange octopus crawls onto your hands. And the gnome sort of like bow to you, bid you a good day, and they turn to leave. They stop just before they go and turn back round. And
If you need to make your way back to the main the common room, take the second left.
That's it.
All right.
and yeah, and then the gnome disappears down the corridor and then takes the first right.
very confused.
DM Dan,
Yes.
is it night time?
You have no idea.
Sure.
I assume
because there are distinctly no windows in this place.
we've been interviewing all day, so
Yeah. Do we feel tired?
Yeah, for those four, absolutely. Zumbo, I mean, yeah, you've had a hard day of drinking, so
Yeah. I'm well sozzled.
So yeah, I think perhaps it is time to retire.
okay. So, is there anything differentiating the rooms?
So as you each pick your respective doors and enter, we'll start from the bottom. Zumbo, what does your room look like?
I imagine it's kind of wood panelled flooring. There is a hammock stretched. It's quite small, probably, much smaller than it appears to be from the outside. There's a hammock stretched between two of the walls, and kind of netting covering some of the other walls, along with like fishing implements and those kind of things. There's a porthole, inexplicably, what looks like a round window in one wall, and you can, well, somebody can probably hear what sounds like waves crashing outside. Yeah, that would be.
Okay. Hiram and Emily, what does your room look like?
So Hiram is going to let Emily go in first. Opens door after you.
Okay.
And as they walk in, they are back in the old Warhounds headquarters.
Okay. Okay. Except I'm guessing there are only two beds, one Hiram sized and one Emily sized.
No, the same amount of beds we had before.
Oh, I see.
You can actually see certain items left behind by people. You can see Magnus's cloak, for example. One of Slade's moonstones on their bed.
Okay. And what type? Given that there were kind of high windows in the dormitories of Warhounds, what time of day is it? Magical, of course, but what time of day is coming through the windows?
I would say dusk.
Okay. Very interesting. Okay, so yeah, Emily walks in. Whereas you take the time to sort of like study and look around, Emily just kind of seems to plod in and just kind of plonk herself down and then just start like unpacking bags and stuff and the like. Almost as if she just hasn't tweaked that this is all a bit weird. Catcher.
I imagine as soon as like Catcher opens the door and Draw walks in, Catcher's got just a very sort of luxurious bedroom with a big, massive, like a goose down blanket and pillows. Like it's one of those ones you fall into it and you just get slowly absorbed into it. Just pulls you in. I imagine she's got like an ensuite as well, with a bath that's just the right temperature. Just doesn't matter how long you leave it, that bath is just that temperature that you just enjoy.
Okay.
Draw has a big fluffy leather bed with a pile of bones, and imagine in there's a desk with just stacks of music paper and a quill that just doesn't an ink quill that just doesn't run out either.
Okay.
But it's just basically it's a place for her. It's quiet, and maybe there's a balcony that opens up, but it doesn't really go anywhere real. It's just calming sort of like wind and sunlight coming through.
Okay. Badger.
Badger steps through her door, kind of half expecting to see her room at the monastery. The kind of open to the air on one side, sort of wooden platform with a mat to sleep on, that she used to sleep in. But instead what she finds is she's amongst the roots of an old tree underground. like the burrow where she grew up. And there's a kind of corner with a sort of cubby space in between the roots with a very comfy looking kind of nest for her to sleep in. And it reminds her of being a child.
Very nice. Slate.
When Slate walks into the room, there is a very big, luxurious kind of, I guess, like 4-poster kind of bed in one side of the room that they run up to, and they're like, oh! But then when they lie down, they look over and they see on the other side there's a tree with some very, very, very soft grass next to it. And also the ceiling, I guess, actually looks like an like a very starry night.
Okay.
And just as settling down into this soft bed, Slate gets up and realizes that there's this patch of very soft grass with this tree and decides to go and sleep over there. And just as kind of, leans up against the tree, starts hearing the sound of an owl and smiles. They start to go to sleep.
And last but not least, Balthazar, as you walk into your room, you look around and find an empty room with nothing but undecorated wooden panels for walls and wooden planking on the floor. And as you look around, you feel like you probably had a bedroom at one point. It's just difficult to remember what it looked like.
I think Balthazar will just kneel on the floor in the middle of the room. And I think if he could sob, he would sob. He'll just stand there or sit there.
Okay. And as Balthazar's eyes flicker and go dim, elsewhere in Cormyr, a number of bodies lie scattered on the forest floor, wearing torn and bloodied tabards depicting a purple dragon skewered by a sword rising up. Sigil of the Radran Separatists. One of the Separatists tries to crawl away from the massacre, desperately, like tears staining her face and washing away the blood from her nose as she tries to feebly escape her attackers. She makes it no more than a few meters before a silver sword is plunged into her back and ends through her spine, ending her life. The attacker pulls the sword out and looks to her accomplices. Yellows and looks at her accomplices. And she hisses,
That was too close for comfort,
she says. And her accomplice shrugs and sort of like rubs his mottled yellow wrists. And
we dealt with them. There's nothing to worry about.
One of them leans down and picks up the parchment that proved to be their objective on this attack. And as they smile, the shadow of a dragon lands behind them. And as they climb onto the great worm's back. They smile. For the Lich Queen, they say.
Lich Queen? Holy fuck.
Boy.
It's Wendy. Wendy was the big bad. You should never have turned her down. You've done this.
Congratulations on completing session 1.
Woo!
Yay.
Well done, everyone.
Well done. So, yeah, thank you for joining us again. I guess. See you all next week.
See you next week, everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, next week.
See you then.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Get
you for
you
not
guys
killing
later.
Westfire.
Yeah.
Try.
That was actually a big win. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
thank God for that.
we don't have to start the hashtag Justice for Emily anymore.
Yeah, I had a moment when we started jumping back, and like, oh my gosh, she's actually dead.
Oh wow.
Stressful, Dan. It was stressful.
Right. Catch you guys in a bit.
Thanks, Dan.
That's it.
See you guys
Bye.
next week.
See you next
Bye-bye.
week.
Bye.
And with that, the Warhounds begin a new chapter of their adventure. Now bolstered by 2 new recruits, only time will tell what's in store for our adventurers. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and comment down below to let us know your favourite bits. And in the meantime, to watch the prologue to this campaign, click down here. Or to find out what happens next, consider subscribing to the Explorers of Elsewhere channel down over there. Until next time, may the realm endure.